Hi, everybody. Welcome to Austin on the Air. Today we have Mary Cornwell with us. She is a regenerative health coach and building biology advocate for Build Vibrant Health. She's also an Austin Air dealer. So this is super exciting to have you on today. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Great. So maybe to start, if you want to give a little bit of backstory for our listeners on your business, maybe explain to us a little bit about your company. And then I'm really interested to hear about your titles, regenerative health coach and building biology advocate. If you want to give us a little bit of, background on that.
Sure, of course. So, like many people who have learned about indoor air quality or are passionate about environmental health, I had my own struggles due to poor indoor air quality. And Austin Air was one of the tools, which I can get into later, that helped me improve my indoor air. But rewind back to 2016, I moved into a extremely moldy house. I didn't
Oh,
realize that it was moldy at the time. But I also had some other things going on in my body and in my environment that my health just collapsed. And it took me 2.5 years to figure out that it was actually my home making me sick, and amalgam fillings and some other things in my environment that were not allowing my body to get better, no matter how healthy I ate, no matter how much I tried to shift my mindset. So um that is really where I dove into my body's own ability to heal. And I made a promise that if I ever got better, that I would help other people through this journey as well, because I know how challenging it can be. And so that's where Build Vibrant Health was born. It is Build Vibrant Health because we're building our own health back up, but also from the perspective of buildings. And so I really wanted that word build to be in there because it's multiple meanings. And if we don't have clean indoor air and outdoor air quality, then we really can't move the dial in our health.
okay. I hear so many people talk about that, and I've had my own mold story. We moved into a house that had it as well. And it's amazing. It's truly amazing. It's like that mysterious that mysterious thing that people they don't always find right away, and it takes a really long time. So kudos to you for doing that and making it a mission
Totally.
now.
Yeah, and I want to say it's more than just mold, right? So in a water
Yeah.
damaged building, there's mold, there's endotoxins, there's the mold spores and the mycotoxins that the mold's producing, amongst other types of bacteria in a building. And in my case, it was a fixer-upper home. So it looked brand new. It looked beautiful inside. And so that was another actually red flag that I didn't know at the time, but they had painted and put brand new cabinets and flooring. So that's a lot of formaldehyde and a lot of off gassing, which is another thing that, you know, if we can not use those materials in the first place, that's ideal. But if they are present, having a way to be able to filter out a lot of those VOCs and chemicals is is really helpful. And
Yeah.
so it's more than just mold. When we're looking at our environment, it's often multiple things, which, to answer one of your original questions, was what is the building biology advocate? So after I got sick and started returning to better health, I went back through the Building Biology Institute and studied building biology and started looking at what are the types of materials that we can use in our buildings? What kind of testing can we do? And just overall, I was doing it for myself as much as I was learning about it for other people to try to better understand how our environments impact our health.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. I'm curious what other, so, this whole idea of indoor air quality, and the way that it affects us, the building biology, what are some of the other products and services that you offer as part of Build Vibrant Health, just for
Totally.
our
So,
listeners?
right. So a lot of what I do is looking at the root cause of what's going on with someone's health. Often big part of the time that is someone's home or their work environment. So we're definitely looking at what's going on there. But oftentimes, as was for myself and many people, it's not just enough to remove yourself from a toxic environment, then you have to also do repair work in the body. So that's where the regenerative health component comes into place. For me, I focused so much on detox in the very beginning, and I found that my body didn't actually have the proper foundation of micronutrients and other things on board to really be able to detox properly. And so that's where the regenerative health piece comes into play. There's tools like iridology that we can use where we're looking at your eyes to be able to map what's going on in the rest of your body. Our eyes actually can tell us a lot about lymphatic stagnation and other things going on. We can look at what supplements and what herbs you're taking and take a more customized approach. I tend to use food as medicine and regenerative superfoods, and a little bit different of approach than some other mold practitioners do, but I really just listen to what each individual person is needing. So we slowly start to peel away onions and look at lifestyle choices, mindset, diet, and the environment as a whole, so that
Okay.
really we can start to rebuild and optimize people's health. And so it looks a little different for everyone, but you know, the air filtration is a huge piece, making sure that if there are issues in a home, that they can be remediated effectively, and if not, then finding a safe place to live, implementing tools like far infrared sauna, and other ways to help support the body's innate ability to heal.
Okay. Now, if someone comes to you, do they have to, I guess, have that knowledge ahead of time? Like, hey, I've been in a moldy house and this is what I've got, or you help them walk through that and
Yeah,
discover what's going on?
good question. I work with people of all different stages. So there could be someone that mold's not even on their radar, the environment's not even on their radar, and I'm happy to be sometimes happy to be the person that brings that news, right? It's like not
Yeah.
always the best news to receive. But for some people it can be like the big missing puzzle piece. And then I've worked with people who have been struggling for years, who just like, have been trying protocol after protocol and just not moving the dial in their health. And so really all walks of life. And I will say most of the people that I work with do have some sort of long-standing chronic illness due to like mold or Lyme or heavy metals exposure, etc. But then there's some people that I work with who are just busy moms or athletes who feel good in their bodies, but they just want to get to the next level, and they just want to feel even better. They want to be able to show up for their kids and their families more.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you find in your world that people come in with an understanding of how the environment impacts human health, or do they need a little bit of guidance and some education to really grasp how much it impacts?
Yeah, I would say a little bit of both.
Okay.
Um, I think a lot of people who do find me are very familiar with mold and are maybe not really familiar, but they're aware that it's in their environment, and they are being inundated with a lot of different resources and information, and they don't really know what to do because there is so much out there. And so that's where I like to help people kind of narrow in and find what resonates for them and what makes the most sense in order of steps to do. Because if you're living in a moldy environment, if you're trying to clean up your environment, it can be very overwhelming, especially if there's multiple people in a household. Maybe one person's sick and the other three aren't. And so navigating those terrains and taking it step by step, I think is really important. And that's the environment that I really enjoy helping people in.
It's amazing to me, when you look at people, that do have chronic conditions, how much the environment does impact them. It really truly is amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we don't look at that nearly enough. And if Western medicine and even different modalities, if that was the first thing that we were looking at, I do believe incidences of chronic disease, cancer, autoimmune illness, a lot of these issues have environmental toxicity at its root. And so we'd be seeing um, so much more relief and so many healthier people. And that's my vision, is to create more vibrant health in the world so that people can show up for their purpose and, like,
Yeah.
enjoy life, because life is meant to be enjoyed. And
Yeah.
when you don't have your quality of life and you don't feel good all the time, the last place that I thought to look was my environment. And I was in public health. I was working as a health educator at a health department at the time. My background was like health promotion and exercise science. So I was very much like a healthy person, but I didn't know the impact that our indoor environment could have on health.
Right. And I think a lot of times when people are first going to the doctor or whatever, that's not the first thing that's looked at. It's the traditional, and sometimes people go years and years um, missing the boat, because it's the last thing they look at. Yeah.
Sure. And
Um, Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's one reason why I really resonated with Austin Air in the first place, besides the fact that the filters worked really well for me. And maybe we'll go into this later. But I I really resonated with the founder's story. He created, this filtration device for his wife who was sick, and he noticed that when she was in cleaner air, that a lot of her symptoms improved. And so I think there's a lot of companies out there that are doing good work and want to promote clean air, but it really touched me that the mission of Austin Air really came from something personal,
Yes.
and a mission to help people.
Yeah, I think that's key. That was the same for me when I first came upon Austin Air. I think when you start out wanting to do things the right way and with the goal of helping people, things just fall into place. You know,
Mhm.
and that kind of leads into the next question that I had. As you were, so it sounds like you were maybe an Austin Air customer before an Austin Air dealer.
Yes. Yep.
So did you use it like personally when you were going through your own health stuff, or did you test it out with the mindset of, okay, I'm going to try and help people, or both?
Yeah. I actually just was using it for myself at first. I'm someone that really likes to do a lot of thorough research and make sure that something works for me before I'm obviously sharing with other people. But what happened actually is I had moved out of the place I was living. I actually moved from Michigan to Arizona, and I was working in a new office space. I felt good at home, but the office space, I could feel something was really bothering me there. And at this point, this is me brand new to healing from chronic inflammatory response syndrome. And so at that point, all my senses were pretty heightened, and I'm starting to realize, like, oh, it is my environment that I'm reacting to. And so I'm working in this new office space. It's a new job. I'm finding that I don't feel well there, and so I'm desperate to keep my job. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna order an air filter and see how it works for me. I actually went through 4 air filters.
Wow.
One just like regular one from Walmart, so like a HEPA filter, and then a couple
Yeah.
other like names that probably you would recognize. And I didn't notice a tangible difference in the office space. And actually, one of the units was off gassing so much that it like bothered me more so to have it on than
Mm.
off.
Oh
And
gosh.
so I was like on the 5th air filter, I'm like, all right, I know it's sensitive, but I really feel like maybe Austin Air is it. The original reason why I didn't go with it, it was a little bit more expensive than the other ones. And I was trying to save on money. But then I went with Austin Air, and it was the only unit that was the 5th and the last unit that I bought, because it was the only one that made a tangible difference in
Wow.
that little office space. I was just in this small little cubicle room. And
Wow.
so that is when I started using Austin Air. And
Yeah.
Like I said, experience speaks for itself. And
Yeah.
so I feel really confident behind the products because of what I've experienced. That was the HealthMate Plus if anyone is interested in which one.
Yeah. And I
But
think that's a good point that you bring up is, as a lot of times people do, that's I'm gonna go to Walmart or some other store to grab a air purifier real quick. I need something. Um, and they don't always feel the relief, or like you said, they have negative response in some cases. And sometimes people will do the extra research because they know that air purification is valuable and does make a difference. Some people just at that point they're like, oh, well, it doesn't work. Not necessarily the air purification isn't a need for them, but that they maybe bought the wrong one originally.
sure,
So you said you did a lot of research on air purifiers. Do you want to maybe talk to me a little bit about specifically what were some of the things other than the fact that it worked and the others
right.
didn't? Were there other like, with the technical specifications of Austin versus the other ones that you've researched?
Sure. So as I was starting, as I was going through these air filters and wasn't really seeing a, a, a big enough change, I started doing more research on, okay, why should I invest in Austin Air? Like this is a little bit more of an investment, but and also why is it working? And so I found the things that really stuck out to me were um, out of any of the air filters that I found, it was the highest pounds of activated carbon that I could find on the market. Most units will advertise that they have carbon, but it's nowhere near the amount. I want to say it was like almost 3 times, if not more, than one of the other units that I found. And so that, and then the amount of HEPA also in the units was pretty extensive. The fact that it's medical grade really stood out to me. And I would say another big one is that it's stainless steel. I'm really environmentally conscious and try to not use plastic in my daily life. And I partner with another company who is committed to plastic free. And so for me, it was important to have a company that, uses stainless steel. Also from a mold perspective, contamination perspective, stainless steel and that metal is a lot easier to clean and wipe down. And it
Mhm.
doesn't off gas. So I know that there's some plastic units that do off gas, and for someone that might be sensitive, if you have MCAS, chemical sensitivity, that can be triggering. And
Yeah,
might be filtering your air, but it also might trigger symptoms in people that are really sensitive.
yeah. I think that that's huge for me also, the fact that it's steel, and that's a dead giveaway there. You mentioned the amount of carbon and a lot of the other um, purifiers that are on the market. To your point, they say, okay, we do have activated carbon, but when you look closely, it's 2.2 pounds, maybe 5 pounds.
Hmm.
We have up to 15 pounds of granulated activated carbon and zeolite. And so you need something that's hefty and robust to be able to contain that much. If you have a
Hmm.
plastic unit that's trying to have 15 pounds of carbon and 60 square feet of HEPA, it's going to crack, it's going to break, and then you're going to have
Hmm.
things that do seep out. So I think that is a great point. Um, was there anything else? I mean, I feel like
Yeah, I mean,
was
I
the
could go on.
filter.
I just didn't want
No, no,
overwhelm. I
no,
will
no.
say I also really like the variety of units. So I like how some units will help filter more so. I mean, they all help like with spores and dander, mycotoxins and whatnot, but then there's some additional filters, and maybe you could speak on this also, but to help filter out formaldehyde more, or
Yeah,
more geared for like there's the bedroom unit, and so more, just a little bit more specialized and geared to what people are needing. I'm really excited that the junior unit is coming back, or has come back. And so that's exciting to be a little bit more like travel friendly. So I do also like that aspect. It's not just like a one size
Yeah.
fits all filter.
Yeah. We take the juniors with us when we travel. We have them. My kids do travel sports and we're on the road all the time. And that's the first thing in the car every time we leave is the junior air purifier. Um, what was your customer reaction, or maybe talk to me first a little bit about, okay, you were a customer, you researched, you found the one that worked that you liked. At what point of that journey did you say, you know what, I think I want to start being a reseller, a dealer of Austin Air? Where did that come into play?
Honestly, when clients started asking me like, what filter do you recommend? And
Okay.
that would just a like organic thing that came up in conversation. And even even not clients, people come to me for health advice, and they know, good or
Yeah.
bad, that I'm like the mold expert
Yeah.
and within the family. And so it just became like, hey, what air filter you do use? What do you like? And of course, for people that I care about and people that I'm helping, I want to be able to recommend
The best. Yeah.
the best thing. Um, and I did notice on the website now that they're offering even like payment plan options. So you can divide up, like I think it's through Klarna. I've used that with
Mhm.
Airbnb before, but it makes it more affordable too, to be able to break that payment up
Yeah.
into bits, if that is a factor. But I know for yourself, when we talked before, you have multiple units going in your home,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And you're bringing multiple units traveling, so
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we don't
awesome.
we I have a daughter with Lyme disease. We lived in a moldy home, so I'm super sensitive to that now. And when you're traveling, you don't know what hotel or Airbnb you're walking into. You can't smell a picture, so it's not that uncommon where it has a little bit of a musty smell, or you know what I mean? So no
Sure.
matter
And
where
not
we
just,
go.
yeah, I was like, going past mold as well. The wildfires,
Yeah.
are like ramping up. I'm in Arizona, and they were doing prescribed fire burns, and that um the air quality got a little bit gnarly outside for a little bit. It's good now, but I know in the Pacific Northwest and Colorado, certain states, definitely like in the summertime and fall, air filtration is really important, um, to not be breathing in that smoke particulate.
Yeah, absolutely. That's huge. So what was the reaction of customers when you finally became an Austin Air dealer? Were they, happy that you had them, that you could sell them and didn't have to do their research? Was it any kind of feedback that you got? I know that you were, like you said, going to recommend them just
Hmm.
organically because of your position, but was
Right.
there any feedback that you received from clients or?
Yeah, satisfied. I haven't ran into someone that I've recommended Austin Air and they haven't liked it.
Okay.
Um, and so that's definitely a
So,
plus.
so it's not a hard sell.
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of people who are buying Austin Air realize that, investing in the indoor air quality, making their home environment, is one of the best things they can do for their health. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I have not heard any complaints thus
Oh,
far.
good, good. What was the onboarding process like? You've made the decision to become an Austin Air reseller. How did that go when you finally did the paperwork and were onboarding? Was it a lengthy process, pretty easy peasy? How did
Yeah, it was really easy. I mean, I filled out some forms, was given some really great resources and things to look through as an Austin Air dealer, so that I can share with clients, so that I can inform myself better. I really liked the portal um, that we were given access to, and then people like yourself and other reps have been really, really kind and just very responsive.
great. So you mentioned the portal. That was another question I wanted to ask was, if you've taken advantage of the marketing materials that we provide, if that's been helpful. Um, from a dealer perspective?
It has been, to be completely honest. I should dive more into it because
Mhm.
there is more to use, but I liked how there was already materials and information there to make it readily accessible. I have a business, actually multiple businesses that I'm running, and so it is helpful to have something already there that I don't have to create, and I'm sure a lot of other people are in a similar situation. And so that has been just really helpful to have that
Good,
on hand. Yeah.
good. Is there anything, if there's a dealer out there that's kind of on the fence, or potential dealer, is there any kind of advice that you might want to share with them, um, if they're trying to make that decision and they haven't gotten there yet?
Yeah, I would say, you can reach out to me if you're listening to this and you want, if you have questions, whatnot. Obviously reach out to Austin Air. They're really, really informative and can answer questions. I'm very detail oriented, and so when I was buying my unit and even after I bought my unit, I was asking about, how the carbon and how it's made and just the details. And so if you need more of that to make up your mind, and I just would say you can't really go wrong with it. And um, I think the best way to really experience something, maybe if you're a dealer and you haven't tried Austin Air, then just try it for yourself first and see how that works for you and how it impacts the environment. And I think you'll find that it does really help,
Yeah. I think
clean
too,
things.
I mean, the world that we live in nowadays, I think this is one of the products that is going to become, I mean, it already is increasingly more and more important and necessary. I think once upon a time, maybe people looked at air purifiers and air purification as the thing that was mainly for people with asthma or COPD. But I
Hmm.
think more and more we're finding that it's not. It's for everybody. I mean, the world that we live in, whether it's wildfire smoke or, just smog or even pesticides, pollen, all
Hmm.
these different things. And then, the things that, to your point earlier about, um, the VOCs and stuff that are in the home, we can't escape it. Nobody can
Hmm.
escape it. So I think it's a product that sells itself, because it's such
Yeah.
a need. Would you agree with that?
Right. I wouldn't say ever to, air filtration would be in place of remediation or in place
No.
of,
Yeah.
like it's not the only tool to make your environment healthful, but it sure is really helpful. And
Right.
it's definitely a key piece to like maintaining a
Yeah.
healthy home.
I mean, especially wherever you're living, if you're exposed to things that are in the outdoor air that are going to eventually make their way in, and there's nothing you can do about that, whether it's vehicle emissions near a highway or pesticides, wildfire smoke, whatever it is, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, or even pet dander, right? Like
Yeah.
I used to be really sensitive. I was used to be allergic to dogs and cats. I am no longer, thank goodness, after, like doing a lot of detox regeneration of my body. But I know there's still a lot of people who are sensitive. And so if someone comes over to my house, I want people to feel, like
Yeah.
they're not going to be sneezing because of the pet dander or whatnot. So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
multi-purpose.
Yes. So if our listeners are interested, in checking you out online, maybe to get some information on your products and services, where do they go?
Sure. So you can find me on social media. My Instagram handle is Build Vibrant Health. Maybe you can include it in the
Okay.
notes here.
Yep.
And same thing on Facebook. My website is currently being revamped right now and working on renaming that.
Okay.
So stay tuned for that. You can also find me on my podcast channel is on YouTube and on Spotify.
Okay.
Also Build Vibrant Health.
Build Vibrant. Oh, perfect. All right. Well, thank you for all that you do and for your support of Austin Air and for the mission of building vibrant health. I appreciate your time today, and we'll talk to you
Thank
soon.
you, Sophie. You as well.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Austin on the Air. For more information on air filtration, air quality, and respiratory health, visit austinair.com.